Andrea James with the FreeHer podcast. All things ending incarceration of women and girls. Really not happy about the circumstances, but very pleased to invite Mr. Eric Kennedy to the show regarding his amazing, courageous, beautiful wife, Brittany Martin. I just want to remind people about who Brittany is. She received a 4-year prison sentence for speaking out during a protest in Sumter, South Carolina. And we are all fighting to free Brittany. And she's a Black activist who was arrested after participating in a 2020 racial justice protest in Sumter, South Carolina. And although Brittany was not violent, did not destroy any property, she was sentenced to 4 years in prison. And we have asked her husband, Mr. Kennedy, Eric Kennedy, to come and join us at this time in Washington, D.C., in preparation for tomorrow's FreeHer March and Rally. Brittany was brought to our attention by a journalist who was doing a story, and I said, well, what are you talking about? She said, we really want to get the opinion of you and the National Council about Brittany Martin and about her case. And I said, what are you talking about? And she commenced to tell us a story that just broke our heart. And it was the first time at the National Council, we like to think we know everything, but it was the first time that we heard about your wife's case. And we were just heartbroken, and we were determined to lend whatever we could in terms of resources and whatever power that we might have as this massive, vast collective of formerly incarcerated women all working together to end incarceration of women and girls, to bring more attention to your wife's case. In your case, you're a family. Tell us about, I think Brittany gave birth while incarcerated, and you are the parents of 6 children? 7 children. Mr. Kennedy, if you're willing, please take us back to that day. Where did all of this happen? How did this come about that your wife is currently in a prison and not even in South Carolina anymore, having been transferred in a prisoner swap to a women's prison in Illinois? Tell us about that day. Why were you guys there? What were you doing?
We were there. This was during at the time with the Philando Castile and Breonna Taylor. With that injustice of, unarmed Black people getting shot by police officers. So we took it upon ourselves. We felt empathy and sympathy for those individuals and their families. So we took it upon ourselves to speak out, not only with that situation, but the situation that was also being taken place in Sumter, South Carolina. So we designed and planned out a peaceful protest. That protest, man, was very powerful. It was very powerful. It was peaceful. For 4 days, we protested in Sumter, South Carolina, along with the police officers. Everything was all fine and dandy. That 4th day, I guess that's when everything hit the fan. They came and rounded me and my wife and 6 other people up. I got charged with reckless endangerment, reckless driving, and disturbing the peace. My wife, she got charged with threatening an official, 7 counts, and inciting a riot.
What caused that shift? You said you planned a peaceful protest. It was peaceful. You were exercising your right to protest.
Our First Amendment right to assemble.
And something at some point by that 4th day shifted. What was that? What happened?
Living in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can say. Living in South Carolina, living under the Mason-Dixon line, under the Jim Crow, where it all began. As I said before, again, the police of Sumter, South Carolina, they were with us. They were actually guiding us into different neighborhoods, guiding us in the streets. And like I said, when I said it was powerful, it was because it got attention from the mayor of Sumter and in Columbia. And it came out that we had a curfew in Sumter because of that protest. It was a curfew there, and we were like, why punish us for doing what we are constitutionally right to do? You know what I mean? And
so adults, this wasn't for the children. There was a citywide curfew.
yes,
What time was the curfew?
7 o'clock.
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Now, was it a blanket curfew? Like, what if you were going to the store to get some juice?
And that's crazy because
Did it cover everybody in Sumter?
everybody.
And so you couldn't go out after 7 p.m.
After 7 p.m.
And how long was that supposed to be?
It lasted for 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, it lasted 24 hours. And what's crazy about it is they said I broke the curfew, right? But I broke the curfew because I was coming from North Carolina from a job interview with the post office. And I got arrested the same night, so I couldn't finish or go back to the orientation. So that was that, you know what I mean? It's just been a hard time, like, knowing that, the system is not righteous. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you sentenced my wife to 4 years. The charge that you got her for was breach of peace in a high aggravated nature.
With that,
My math ain't math.
right?
You understand what
Yes.
I'm saying? Because I know breach of peace is not disturbing the peace.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not disturbing the peace, then how can it be in high aggravated nature?
And all based on the right to protest
Yes.
and to have your voices heard
Basically, her First Amendment right.
about the killing of Black people.
Yes, of Black unarmed African Americans
Mm-hmm.
by police officers that are not, or they weren't being held accountable for.
Mm-hmm.
And so that in itself was a travesty,
How far along your wife was expecting?
Yes. So this was after, I want to say about 2 months after my oldest passed on, Courtney Harris. My oldest.
No, our condolences. So you had a child who had transitioned, and you as a family were dealing with that.
Yes.
And your wife is pregnant with your last baby.
Yes.
Blessing. Is that?
That's her name.
That's her name.
That's her name.
And she certainly is a blessing. And she was pregnant when she was arrested.
Yes. No. I'm sorry. I apologize. No, she was not pregnant when she was arrested. She was pregnant. She was pregnant during her trial.
I see.
During her trial and during all of her sentence.
Okay. So when she was arrested, was she held? Was she bailed? Was she home?
Yeah, when they arrested her the first time, she didn't get bailed until 27 days after.
Wow.
And so we bailed her out 27 days after. And so she went live, to talk about it. And we went to go pick up our truck because they had towed it. In the midst of us going to go pick up our truck, they come back to pick her up, saying they had more warrants. And we're like, what you mean? Like, where these warrants come from? Because as far as I know, if you're in the county, the officers have 72 hours, to issue your warrant for your other charges. My wife has been in the county jail for 27 days. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just like, well, that's not adding up. Because if she had these other charges or these other warrants, you guys had 72 hours to give her and present her with her warrants.
So she was bailed and she was out and they actually took this breach of peace to trial. They wanted to prosecute her?
No. The charges that she had were of threatening an official, 7 counts, and inciting a riot, All right. She was found not guilty on both of those charges. The breach of peace and aggravated nature came in when they couldn't get her on anything else.
I see.
So it was just a breach of peace, but the prosecutor added on the high and aggravated nature. And from what I was told from her attorney was that the judge and the prosecutor wouldn't let her explain to the jury of what the high and aggravated nature would carry, because at the end of the day, in the state of South Carolina, breach of peace is nothing but a 30-day, $500 charge.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When you tack onto a high and aggravated nature, the high and aggravated nature itself carries 5 to 14 years.
Wow. And they did not want people, the jury, to know that.
So because if they didn't know that, then we wouldn't be here today.
That's right. That's right. But we are.
Yeah, we are.
And Brittany now has been in prison
2 years.
2 years. And she is no longer, your family, you guys are from Sumter, South Carolina.
Yes, ma'am.
Where you lived as a family,
yes, ma'am.
Raising your children.
Yes, ma'am.
And she was sentenced in Sumter, South Carolina.
Yes, ma'am.
And then when was it that you learned that your wife would be prison swapped, or whatever it's called, to another state, which, whether people understand this or not, other states have compacts with other states to help them keep their prisons full. And this mother of 7 children was now used in one of these transfers to fill a woman's prison somewhere else. Where was your wife sent? How long was she in prison in South Carolina? And then when was she sent? And tell us where she was sent to.
Okay. So before all that, before her getting sent off, in SCDC, she was being totally disregarded. She was being harassed. She was assaulted. They basically, CEOs of SCDC held her down. My wife had...
Tell us what to say out SCDC.
South Carolina Department of Corrections.
Okay.
I apologize.
So she was incarcerated there, and she was encountering...
Yes,
harassment, abuse.
They shaved off all her dreads. And a week after that, the week they did that, after that week, apparently they shipped her off. We didn't find out until 3 weeks later from another person's husband. I didn't find out because he told me, he called me. I'm coming home from work. He called me from 618 number. I don't have that. So that's a Mount Vernon area code. And I answered, and he said, "Hey, my name is such and such. Do you know Brittany Martin?" I said, "Yeah, that's my wife." And he said, "Well, I was relayed to a message to let you know that your wife is in Lincoln, Illinois." My wife's in Lincoln, Illinois. No, my wife's is in South Carolina Department of Corrections. So unbeknownst to
not even any notice to her husband, her children.
A lawyer, no one knew. So he said, go to this website called Vine Inmate Lookup, and he gave me her ID number. And sure as sugar is sweet, she was there. And so I said, well, if she's there, then we coming, So about a month after that, I left. I transferred from the job I had to the same job, but it's in Mount Vernon, and took me about
in Illinois.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Took me about 2 months to get everything situated to where I can bring my kids, because I didn't want them to go through what I had to go through to start over. So, you know what I mean?
How was that for your children?
Oh man, to know that their mama was, at one time we could touch her, and to know now we got to move 800-900 miles away, man, it killed my kids, especially my boys, man. my two boys. Blessing at that time, she was still, in months. She didn't, but my two boys, King and Judah, my 6-year-old and my 4-year-old.
King and Judah.
Yeah, that tore them up, and even to this day, before coming here, Judah was like, Daddy, we should go see Mommy. But right now we can't, she's being systematically abused in there as well.
Is she not allowed visits? What is the situation?
Well, the situation now is she was physically and sexually assaulted in Logan Correction by COs. And, she's been writing PRIAs and grievances on these correctional officers, and she's been subject to harassment and basically retaliation tactics. And so they have her housed now on like a B wing, I guess. That's like the protective custody, whatever. I guess, I'm new to this, you know what I'm saying? So that's where she is now. She is currently like on restriction, basically. Like I used to do video visits, and I used to go up there every week. Now, from what she told me, they have her 6 months restricted.
One of the things that, as for incarcerated women, that we fight against, and we want to raise awareness so that, we as mothers go to prison, we're separated from our children. It's not, the sentence isn't enough for this system. In addition, we're separated from our children. And then one of the very primary punishments that they use while we're incarcerated is to punish us by taking away our visitation. Not allowing us to see our children, to speak with our children, to hold our children. And it has a devastating effect on us as women when we're inside, and it's amplified 10 times for our children. I just want to say, I was very fortunate to have a husband who never missed a visit. My son was 5 months old when I went to prison. And my husband brought, my youngest at the time was 12, my baby girl, and my 5-month-old son, every single visit, through snow, through rain, through sleet, to bring them so that particularly my 5-month-old son, who didn't know I was his mother, but knew I was somebody, at least. And I want to just say thank you. I want to, they talk so badly about us as Black people, as Black families. You, my husband, you are just beautiful examples of Black men who are raising your children, who you have taken yourself, went and set up with nothing to start over, and then went back and brought your children to Illinois so that they would be close to their mom and that you would keep your family as connected as possible during this absolutely unjust, discriminatory, racist work of a system that we are working to dismantle. So I want to just pause for a moment and lift you up for your courage and your persistence to love on your wife and to keep your family together.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I look at it not for congratulatory, I'm a man at the end of the day. I got kids. No, you know what I'm saying? I just can't. I can't. And I try to, it's hard. I tell you that, it's hard. Oh Lord, it's hard because, I don't have that. I have the nurturing, but I don't have it because I'm a man. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, but at the end of the day, they mom, like Brittany, man, she does a great job. Like being where she at does not stop her from raising her kids.
Parenting from a payphone.
Yes, and she says it every day.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be a mama through this.
That's right.
And it's just a lovely thing, man. And I want to appreciate and I thank you guys for allowing me to come and to be here to speak about my wife.
Well, this is a movement, so it's not about allowing, it's about what our responsibility is as movement people to nurture, to bring in, to support, to use whatever resources we have, and particularly for cases like Brittany's case. What is your support that you're receiving right now around her case? Because like I said, we didn't know anything about it. It floored us when we learned about her case. What support have you received for Brittany, and for your family?
Well, Black Lives Matter grassroots out in California, they've been rocking with me since, day one. They've been there for me. They've supported me. They even helped me, at times. And Black Voters Matter is one of our partners for our nonprofit organization, Mixed Sisters United.
Mm-hmm.
They, they give us grants to still implement what we started 3 years ago, so they've been there for me, and just, family, my family, her family, so, and you guys. So,
is there any work being done on the legal side of things to try and, reverse this in any way, to get some reprieve, to get, is there a clemency application that's in the works? What is that happening? How is that happening?
We have we have the ACLU from Sumter, South Carolina. She has it's written in the books for June, her exoneration. We got that coming in June. She's up for parole next month.
Okay.
On the 15th.
Okay.
So we're hoping that that pans through.
Yeah.
But yeah, her lawyer, Sybil Rosario,
Mm-hmm.
from Columbia, South Carolina, Black Lives Matter grassroots, put a word in for us with the ACLU in Columbia, Greenville. I'm sorry, Greenville, South Carolina. Miss Meredith, shouts out to her. She a dog.
Good, good. So there are people that are great. And so we'll speak to all of these folks, see what else we can do to bring some more attention, maybe to bring some of the participatory defense practices into this. If there are sisters that need to show up on behalf of Brittany, consider it done. How can folks who are hearing your voice support you? I know what it was like for my husband. I gave birth to our baby boy, and then I was gone, of course, against my will. But my husband was left all of a sudden with this brand new baby, and there is a cost, a significant cost. We have to feed our babies. We have to put Pampers on our babies. How old's Blessing now?
Blessing is 1.
Wow.
And for me, it was tough because my wife breastfeeds, like we breastfeed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do the Similac or anything like that. So that was a struggle in itself because they wouldn't let her pump, in the prison. And so we made phone calls. I went up there. Hey, listen, look, my baby got to eat.
Right.
And you're not going to force me to make my baby eat, something that I believe is not healthy for her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so, but we got it into place to where, okay, I was going up there every other weekend getting breast milk. But, man.
That let's just pause and think about that, because we had that similar experience. I was breastfeeding my son. It's very difficult to force your children to wean, particularly when you're not in belief of what you're weaning them onto. And so we had that very similar situation in our family, and that was heartbreaking and crushing.
Yes.
And I know exactly what your wife was feeling and going through because she was forced to stop breastfeeding, and for you to make it a point of going back and forth so that she could pump, that she could deliver that beautiful milk to her baby, is another testament to you, because without partners like you, women inside don't have a chance of forcing these systems to do the things that are or should be our right as women to choose to breastfeed our children and to have access, and for our children to be breastfed and have access to their moms. So thank you for that. And a lot of people don't even begin, when they think about the incarceration of women, they don't think about those things. They don't think about what's it like if you're breastfeeding and you go to prison. You know, what are the rights of the children? If you don't like us, if you don't care about us as women, as Black women in particular, well, what about the children? And what rights do they have just to be with their mom at such a young age? I think that was it was very hard for me to know that I was there one day with my son, and the next day this person who was inside, like I was inside of this woman, and then I was breastfeeding, and now what happened to her? And you never know what kind of harm that causes.
And, you know, Blessing was born in prison. She was born inside the prison. So, you know, when they wasn't feeding my wife, you know, and I'm just, and I felt helpless, you know what I'm saying? Because I was like, man, I can't do nothing. I was like, man, where can I go? Who can I, talk to? Because, like, it's just, as being a dad, that's like that's the greatest thing in the world to me. You know what I'm saying? To have another you, and you can just mold him and try to teach him to do and let him know who he really is. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, that was my thing.
And you were able to receive blessing, and
yes,
that's a blessing.
Yes.
So many women don't have the family, the father waiting to receive the child on the other side.
I'm sorry, Miss James, I'm going to get my baby.
That's right.
I'm going to get my baby.
That's
and
right.
I told him the same thing. I'm coming to get my baby.
That's right. How can we continue to lift up your wife's story? How can people, I want to know, how can people help to provide you with some support? We live in a capitalist society. As we trying to break down all these walls, whatever you want to call it, we need money. The movement needs money. Right. Mr. Kennedy and his babies need money. Little Blessing needs money. So how can people make a contribution to you, Mr. Kennedy?
Via Cash App, or you can hit us on our website, Mixed Sisters United.
Mixed Sisters United
at gmail.com.
At gmail.com. That's an email. They can connect with you.
Connect with me.
Do you have a website?
That is our website.
That is Mixed Sisters United. Okay. Gotcha.
That is our website, and that is where most people want to reach me.
And what's your Cash App, bro?
Oh, I'm sorry. My Cash App is $ Tony Court.
Tony
Court.
CORT.
TONY COURT.
URT, like a court.
Yeah.
Okay. TONYCOURT, people.
Yeah.
So great. We will continue to learn more. We are now 10 toes down on the ground. We are uplifting Brittany tomorrow. Uplifting your babies who have traveled all this way to be in Washington, D.C. with us. And I just want to say thank you to you. Thank you for being everything of a Black man that we know we have. And so I really commend you, but I want you to know, and I want my sister Brittany to hear, I had the privilege of being able to speak to her just for a few minutes earlier today. And that felt good, because anytime we get to tell another sister to hold on.
For sure. I appreciate the love. I swear I do.
It means a lot to us.
Thank you.
So please tell your wife to hold on. We coming for her.
Right. We
coming to get her.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes.
And so thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing your beautiful children to us. And we're going to have you take that stage tomorrow and make sure that everybody leaves there knowing Brittany Martin. All right now. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.